Hello there and welcome back to the Zero Credentials F1 podcast. We have concluded another week of testing prior to the 2026 F1 season. There's loads to talk about, loads to dig into, so we would love it if you were to come along with us. Let's go. So Nelly, we've had 3 more days of testing, this time in Bahrain, with, as far as I'm aware, just 1 hour each day televised.
Yeah.
And we're going into next week with 3 more days of testing, and thinking still in Bahrain, but with all 8 hours being televised. So
Finally.
I'm starting to get a touch excited. It's just good to see cars going around the track again, which I think is good.
Yeah.
I've got my own feelings on a few bits and pieces. Tell me or tell us what you know. What do you know? What have you...
Oh, God. That's a loaded question. I know a lot of things. But today I will limit this conversation to... No, first things first, it's nice to see the cars on the track, as you rightly pointed out. And I think the cars look... I said it last time, but a little shorter, sexier, more compact.
Yeah,
and they look well as just a specimen on the track. You forget how big and wide and cumbersome looking the past few years have been, but these are starting to look racier in still frame, which is
I think it's the rake, it's the aggressive rake, isn't it? Like it kind of just looks like even when they stood still, it looks like they're charging, doesn't it? A bit. I quite like it.
This is it. I don't think the previous generations have looked as good in still frame shots, and these look kinetic in the still frame, and I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm really, really pleased with that. I always give testing, and particularly with new season variants coming forward, I always give it a dose of think about it with a dose of salt, because we really don't know. They don't know. A dose.
Not a pinch.
Sorry, a pinch or a load. No, what? There's another term for it. It's bollocks anyway. A shed load. A shit ton of salt. A shit ton of salt. That's what you need. A shit ton of sodium chloride. Yeah. So, and I still feel that we can't truly understand where the cars are at. Bahrain, in and of itself, is a hard on tyres, very open to wind, low grip. It's one where you can spin the car quite easily at the best of times. So how much we can read into that, certainly with the first three days, is going to be difficult, because I always get a feel for which cars are doing what by the end of the testing, and then that gets completely thrown out of the window.
Yeah.
Come the start of the season, because they've been sandbagging or fuel loading.
Yeah, and they were talking about that today. But what seems to be the case, I think, from these last 3 days, is that the big boys from last year are going to be the big boys, at least at the beginning of 2026. That being Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull. I think they're looking the top of the timesheets in it. Between the 4 of them, they've topped the timesheets at pretty much every session. Yeah. They're looking. They did a lot of race running today and yesterday, and it seems that Mercedes right up there, McLaren are decent. Ferrari, I think people are starting to take notice of Ferrari, which is interesting. They've done. I mean, Lewis Hamilton did like 150 odd laps today before. I think it looks like they potentially purposely ran him out of fuel at the end.
Yeah, they've done some really, really decent. There's no deviation from the means of where you'd expect it to be, with the exception of, and I apologise if this is one of your notes, but the surprise for me is how poor on the face of it the Aston Martin and Adrian Newey's motor looks, and how aggressive they've gone. I mean, did you see any of the testing? The last few days? A little bit, only in highlight reels as much as anything else.
In the last hour today, Lance Stroll was in and out, and they'd had what sounds like problems with the Honda engine. Honda had been taking a look at it. They thought they'd fixed it. They sent him back out, and then about 1 or 2 laps later, he was back in again. So I don't know how much of the teething problems they're having is to do with the power unit or Honda, or I mean,
I hope so, because you'd be a fool to think an Adrian Newey chassis or monocoque would be in trouble, because he doesn't get things like that wrong. That was one of the most aggressive rakes I noticed on the new motors, was the Aston Martin.
Well, I mean, as was the Red Bull in sort of the 20
in the Newey's
era.
Yeah. So he clearly likes that, and I'm glad that he likes that. So if it is engine tweaks and engine gremlins, fine, perfect. But that's the only outlier at the moment. You've got your Cadillacs at the bottom, and they are absolutely starting from scratch, and they're trying to understand the car. The Audis are sort of lower midfield at the minute, but still have gaps. I hate the livery.
I quite like. I think the livery looks a bit like the old Mercedes sort of colours.
It's just half and half. I just want choose one or the other and go with it.
But it's brilliant, I think, having Audi in F1, and just it's got such racing pedigree, particularly if you've sort of been a rally fan and stuff in the past,
and the hypercars and everything,
or a Le Mans fan. Do you know like the endurance type GT races? The Audi is such a big name in motorsport and have been for a very long time, and it's just kind of nice to see their logo on the list of cars lining up on the grid of the F1. I think it's quite cool.
I like the way that Audi is in there, because I think it terrifies some of the bigger teams as well. Because unlike most, Audi have got the sort of ambition to come in and go straight at the top. But more important, they've got the sort of type of fuck you money to bankrupt themselves to get to the top. You know what I mean? They could literally just keep ploughing in. I know there's finance caps and everything else, but it's not going to be for a want of financial limitations that they're going to limit their aspirations in F1. But
no, because I mean they are Volkswagen, aren't they? Really, but and I'm sure they were talking about a Porsche team as well, which is also a Volkswagen. So they're obviously keen to.
They're going down the Red Bull school of thought.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like you can't read too much into testing. I just think it's quite clear that the top 4 teams from last year are looking pretty strong. It's good to see the cars out there again. However, there's a couple of things I'm severely concerned about. One of them's come true already from watching 3 hours of testing over the last few days, and that is battery chat.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, it is
buying the fucking life out of me. Yeah.
Oh, my God. They're already talking about it. About, like, deploying battery, using battery. And what do you know the reason why we've gone into this sort of hybrid era? What, like,
is it some eco-zealotry or something like that? Is it just that they want to... we racers run and all that narrative,
because they've gone to sustainability and they're talking about all that sort of green stuff. But what I heard the other day, and one of the things I dislike about these regulations already, is it's so complicated.
Yeah,
like it's complicated for the drivers in the car. It's complicated for the engineers by the sound of it. It's complicated for the commentators and the TV people, and it's confusing for us as well. And
I'm a simple man.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a simple fan. I just want to see racing.
That's the whole point of the podcast, isn't it? And I don't really understand it. It's very technical, and it's also not that interesting. It's not like the cars have got 1,000 horsepower or something, and half of it's coming from an electric motor, which you can hear as well. The cars, I agree, the cars look great. They look great, but they sound awful.
They could sound great too if they took out big electric components and just the fossil fuel juice.
They get up to top speed on the straight, and you just hear that. You can hear this like electronic whir.
It feels like a whirry limiter or something as well. It's like it feels like it wants to give more than the sound's allowing it to do. So, but it's
we're in good company in feeling a bit like this. Did you hear what Max Verstappen said? He went into the back, right? Into the back of his trailer or whatever he has his stuff in. He went into his bag, he pulled out a grenade, he pulled the pin and launched it into the press conference. You can't have been searching high and low to find video of this press conference. I actually don't think it exists because I think they've tried to bury it. I believe it was said to the written press. But he basically said that this is not Formula One.
No.
He's not having fun in the car, and he might as well be doing Formula E, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah. But this stage in his career, he needs to be driving the best of the best. And if he feels he's not doing that, then he's exactly right to be saying that. I mean, it's a couple of things have said it to me in the past couple of days, just watching the way they go. I don't want to get to a point where within live racing broadcasts, we're seeing screen-on-screen pictures of two racers trying to overtake and defend from one another. And you know it's coming with a battery graphic. A live battery graphic showing deployment in the middle. That's a prediction from me. That's absolutely going to happen.
There's
We're going to see live
no
deployment.
Chance that will not happen.
and that's the bit we're going to get excited about, is some bars decreasing all the way down. But
I absolutely hate the way that as fans, like all proper F1 fans that watch these shows like this, that we're going to know inside out what it means to have 30% battery at the start of a lap going into the straight. We're going to know every minute of the percentage of the battery and what that means.
He hasn't harvested enough.
I'm going to know it, but I don't want to know any of it.
I don't know it. We're going to become specialists in something I don't care about.
It's like when you learn like a train timetable, or you know what weather's going to be tomorrow. It's like that sort of stuff that's useful, but it's so boring.
But the second part of it that links to that as well, with the harvesting and the cornering, with the hybrid technology, is a lot of drivers starting to drop into first gear to improve grip and harvesting on the tighter corners. Now, at what point?
That's what I was going to say. Is that I heard there's 4 ways of charging the battery up, and I'm sure 2 or 3 of them involve burning extra fuel to charge the battery up, which removes the whole. Surely,
just burn the fuel for the sake of mechanical drive.
Have you ever seen when at some service stations, in order to get the electric car chargers working, they ship in a massive diesel generator and they fire up the diesel generator to charge the cars. So like all
with
these
big
people
smiley green credentials.
With their nice electric cars, feeling good about themselves and driving around on diesel power. And that's kind of, I think, in 2 or 3 of the 4 ways that you can charge a battery, you're burning fuel to charge a battery. So just kind of, I don't really get it. Like, what's the message?
I love it, because in the UK and the Western world, we're trying to go to as many green technologies as possible, but we're just exporting our pollution to the third world. You chaps over there, you take all the poisonous and dangerous energy forms and production techniques, and we'll sit over here and tap ourselves on the back for having 100% sustainably resourced electricity in our homes when we're consuming like fucking gluttons. It's a ridiculous tokenistic piece of bullshit, to be honest with you. But I mean, with this harvesting the way that they're doing it, I mean, my driving instructor always told me, when you're slowing the car,
can you remember that far back, mate?
Well, to be fair, I wasn't with him for very long. I passed first time. I might have just dreamt it.
Maybe twice.
After the minimal amount of engagement with that fella, we sort of passed in the night. He was still amazed to this day by my expertise. He said, if you're slowing the car down, he said, engine braking plays a part, but he said, what do you think costs me more? To change some brake pads or to get my gearbox redone? And that sort of stuck with me, because I thought, yeah, fair enough. You can You're talking like in the tens of pounds rather than the hundreds of pounds to get that done. But so if they're throwing it in first gear for some corners, relying on massive engine braking, which is taken back through the electrical harvesting side of things, then at some point you're going to be putting the gearbox under pressure, and these are pretty fragile pieces of kit as well. And so it may be a short-term tactic until they're taking grid penalties for changing the gearbox every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the harvesting works, because it seems that have you seen how the weird start they're doing when they're doing their practice? So that basically, because one of the electric systems isn't there anymore, that used to spool the turbo up. So to get the best start, they're having to crank on a load of revs, which sounds stupid, to get the turbo spooling.
Yeah.
And charge the battery up to the absolute tip top before they dump the whole lot at the start. And it's just, it's stupid. I think they're already talking about potentially they're going to have to do something about that before the start of the season.
Yeah, there was something also about this, like drivers said they can sort of manage with that, but say 1 in 15, 1 in 20 times, it is a catastrophically poor and slow start, which could be dangerous.
Yeah, and also
on a grid setting,
if they keep those revs too long, they basically overcharge the battery, which is detrimental. But because the start is done somewhat randomly, you don't know when to hit the power before you've released the clutch. You don't know when to start doing that over revving. So people are going to start over revving at different times. It's going to just be guesswork as to who gets the best start because they've got the battery and the turbo spooled up properly. So it's just like this whole absolute nonsense of some technical nonsense that sort of turns driver skill and reaction time into a bit of luck. I don't know. It sounds stupid. The other thing,
there's many more complicated things to go. Sorry, many more complicated things to go wrong as well. It brings me in mind as well of so the dashboards are going to be lighting up with this warning, that warning, and they had brake bias and everything else to try and adjust and consider through the lap. It's another 2 or 3 or 4 quite complicated and nuanced adjustments that they're going to have to make. So the dashboard's going to be lit up left, right, and centre. Puts me in mind. There's a young lady that I work with, and we were chatting about cars just this week, and she had me on my back laughing because she said when things go wrong in her motor car, she just rings her father up, and this is not a misogynistic joke or commenting on any female driving habits at all, but it's just the way she put it, and I think we'll end up there with F1 is I just ring my dad and tell him what emojis just popped up on the dashboard.
Yeah.
oh, big red engine emoji flashing at you. Yeah, probably best time to turn off. So there'll be lots of F1 emojis on the dashboard in the coming months.
One of the things that Max was saying, again, I'm paraphrasing because I didn't see or read the whole thing, but he said that what he likes is drivers braking at the last possible second, proper hard racing. And he said that's kind of been taken away because they're having to lift and coast at the end of the straight into corners in order to get the battery charged up so they can deploy it around the rest of the lap. Because if they don't do that, someone else that does do that behind them will then be able to overtake them.
To get the boost, to get the equivalent boost, It's
basically it's going to come down to who managing the battery is just going to be just paramount to absolutely everything. And they did a bit of that last time in the last lot. Since the whole hybrid era, they've had the overtake button that they can kind of deploy, but it only gave you a tiny advantage. It wasn't like as much as DRS, for example.
Well, this is it. I mean, I have to confess something. I'm not proud of it, but I operate in a 2-car household, and one of those cars is an electric vehicle. And I often drive it in that sort of the one-footed mode. So you take your foot off the accelerator and it actively starts to brake or harvest as you do it. But the point with that is there is no level of control that you can do in terms of coasting towards a junction or a roundabout or whatever that is faster than acceleration to a point and then braking at the end. You have to sort of manage. You can manage your left foot so you don't have to touch your brake at all, but you are slower approaching that junction than anyone else. And if the same sort of principle rings true in F1, they're going to have some problems. But equally, they may use their brakes less, which may lead to some reduced instances of brakes overheating, especially with some of the races where that's quite heavy.
Yeah, I was listening to, I was watching Ted earlier talk to Andrew Shovlin from Mercedes, and he was saying that the engine braking or the harvesting that occurs, like you were just talking about, that's all, obviously, because it's only two-wheel drive, that's all on the back axle. So he's saying, like, the back axle does still have calipers, but you can get almost all of the rear braking from the electrical engine or motor system. Obviously, the front is still doing the vast majority of the braking. Vast majority of the braking, but the rear axle can be fully. The braking can, because it's that strong. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it's very powerful, even in a domestic car. But it's, I imagine it'll be like handbrake in F1. But the thing is that whilst the front will be doing the vast majority of the real braking in inverted commas, in some instances where they're approaching these corners and relying on engine braking with coasting, they naturally won't be doing the majority of it because it'll be expecting the rear to harvest as much as possible. So anytime they do tap the front, or tap the bias towards the front for that, it's not going to be required as aggressively as it historically would have done. Again, look what we're talking about. We'll bore ourselves to death with this.
I know.
That's the point. We're talking about stuff that's meaningless.
I know, and it's you kind of want to be positive about the season, but then, and last season wasn't great. The racing wasn't good. The number of DRS trains we got into, and already I've heard that it's not easy to follow in these cars. And obviously we're only at an early stage of testing, so you still can't probably read that much into that. But Max, again, was saying that the cars, because they've all got active aero and there's less air resistance generally, the speed differential on the straight is minimal. So the only way, I think the only way they're going to do an overtake is with that battery deployment. But then you deploy and you can't then keep the position. So we might end up seeing a lot of like flip-flopping as people recharge the battery, and maybe that'll make good racing. I don't know. One thing I was thinking though, when I was sort of thinking about all this earlier, and I felt like I was whinging to myself, is that if Lewis Hamilton wins the first race of the season, I'll be thinking, this is great.
It's fucking brilliant.
These are absolutely brilliant regulations.
Best rules ever.
And I bet everybody will be like that, whoever their favourite driver is. If it's Lando or Max or if Alonso wins, we'll be thinking, yes, this is great. Great regulations.
But you're right, though. I mean, and this is why we'll never really see it until it's in the flesh. It doesn't feel instinctively like it's a positive step forward. But
I've heard. Sorry to interrupt you. I've heard a few people in the mainstream, some other people on YouTube, talking about all this. They're trying to be positive. Like, yes, this is going to be good. I haven't heard a single good thing said about it though. Like an exciting thing. It's not like this regulation's great because we're going to get this. Everybody's trying to be polite about it.
Yeah.
Like absolutely everybody.
Well, the FIA will have you assassinated if you say the wrong thing, so that's the problem.
I don't hear anybody excited about battery chat.
No, you'd expect one driver, if they'd hit a sweet spot in a given car, just saying, it's incredible that the acceleration rips your face off, and I've never done speeds like it around a corner, but none of that. But you're right, because we said it last year in the season. It was a very it was quite a processionary season, if we're absolutely honest with ourselves.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
It was first corner or first 5 laps.
Remove
was largely
Max
decided.
Verstappen from last year, and it was a boring year.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
That's it, because we were regularly sat there. First 5 laps, probably the first corner in many instances. That set the tone of the race, and then you were hoping for a safety car or some sort of disruption to the race to make a meaningful change to the positioning. So maybe maybe the grass certainly wasn't greener on the season we've just left, and let's see what this has to offer. But instinctively, it feels a bit like a ball fest.
Yeah, I hesitate to say, like, we're racing purists, the people that love F1, a kind of sporting racing purists, because F1 has always walked that line, that balance of sporting prowess versus technical advancement. I just think that balance is just drifting in the wrong direction. Like, we're getting more and more technical, and the requirements and the skills from the drivers,
the human input is diminished.
At least in terms of hardcore purist racing ability, it's becoming more of a mental thing where they can actually multitask and do several electronic technical things, like I said the other week, like they're playing a computer game where they're having to learn the mechanics of a steering wheel, like they're playing a computer game.
Well, that's exactly as you said. I mean, in the not too distant past, Adam, you know that in our youth we'd like to play a range of active sporting pursuits, often at an extremely high level, and that was often to the exclusion of the boys who like to play computer games and sit in a darkened room and lament happenings of their lives, and the sports weren't for them. It's not to say they were excluded from them, but they went their way and we went ours. It just so happened we were excellent at games as well, but that's a separate matter altogether. And now it feels as though that the boy in the dark t-shirt in the bedroom can now come and enter the highest level of sport, which doesn't feel right.
I don't recall ever going into a new set of regulations with as much trepidation as I have now. Yeah. It may though be because F1's like our thing, isn't it? It's like what we love to do, and the world is a fucking shit show elsewhere at the moment, isn't it? And this is like, it's a thing that like keeps you excited. It's a thing that
delicious
inspires.
Distraction.
Yeah, like it's a kind of globe-trotting movie, essentially, isn't it? That you kind of feel a small part of, and that you've got some history with as a fan. And I don't know, I just don't want to lose. I don't want to lose the magic.
Well, we've not quite hit the point where it's like Mario Kart and the FIA allowing you to throw bombs or boosts, but it's heading that way, isn't it? It's heading a bit into the jokey side of things.
Electronic. We'll send out an electronic red shell.
You get zapped and spun.
Yeah, and you can see it on the TV screen, even if it's not happening in real life.
No, but you get fun. It will come to shit like that. I hope to God it doesn't, but it'll come to shit like that where instead of voting for the driver of the day, everyone's ploughing in money to do a vote for who gets bombed and spun out on the first corner. And I hope it doesn't get participatory like that.
Yeah, don't joke.
So it could be worse. I suppose that's our positive message. It could be worse.
That's true. Having said that, like we start in Australia in a couple of weeks' time at insane hours of the morning for European fans. And I'm still going to get up. I'll be up at 5 a.m. for qualifying probably. I think I'm going to get up for 4 a.m. for the race as well, because I love it. And I'm kind of,
first race of this
despite
season,
what we've said, I think it's important to talk about these things. But despite what we've said, I'm still optimistic. I'm an eternal optimist.
Yeah,
even in the face of stuff that's annoying.
I'm willing to be surprised. Positively. I'm willing for that to happen.
Yeah, and I hope we're wrong.
Yeah.
I hope we're wrong.
Well, a pessimist is never disappointed, and I hope you don't come across as a pessimist, because I am excited about the season coming. I love the fact that I don't know where things are going to be and where things are going to lie, And I don't know we could be completely wrong, and the mechanics of racing turn out to be beautifully competitive, but
it's mostly what the drivers have said, though. None of them are excited about it so far. No one said that, this is great. It's going to be fun racing this year.
Oh, wow. Oh, can you imagine side to side? I'm going to hunt him down. I'm going to get him. And the speeds, literally my eyes are coming out the back of my head in the cornering speeds. None of it. There's none of it.
And it's like you've got some exciting wheel-to-wheel racing, either on the straight or in the corners, I don't know. But there's wheel-to-wheel racing happen, and then someone's battery is depleted, and it's over. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm worried about. We're going to have this most exciting moment, and suddenly someone's battery dies, and that's the end of it.
Actually, yeah, it'd be interesting to see some of the instead of the engine blowouts, like catastrophic battery failures and maybe some half decent fires going on as a consequence of it. Don't want anyone to get hurt or to have any issues with the safety of the vehicles, but we might see some fairly impressive fireworks going off as cars fail. But yeah, we're in a new era. It's completely unknown. Hope smarter people than us have had a chance to think about it, but smarter people than us have changed regulations in the past
on a more sort of philosophical level. We're kind of, since the whole hybrid era started, it's kind of created an arbitrary limit on energy use during a race. And before we had batteries earlier, but they didn't do as much. We've gone a step further now. Like, energy limitation is going to be a huge part of an F1 race. And I think fundamentally that's the issue I've got. It's like, we know, don't get me started on energy. I've studied it quite a lot. I think it's very political very quickly. But F1 is a sport that requires quite a lot of energy. And as soon as you limit it, are you limiting the entertainment? Are you limiting?
Of course you are. Yeah, I think
so. You are. That's. I think there's a slightly more philosophical question there. How far do we go? Do you know what I mean? It's like, or do you just, people don't like you using energy, so let's just stop it altogether. That's the end. That's the end point. Isn't
but there has to be a trade-off and a. Why we don't want to make all the cars absolutely homogenous, because I think that kills innovation. And a lot of these are manufacturers who go into F1 to test at the highest level the theoretical limitations of what technology they hope to ultimately bring back into their production vehicles. But give teams a bit of credibility. Okay, so you must use a hybrid system and get the opportunity to harvest as much electricity as possible from your unit. So there's an incentive to push and try and develop the technology there. Well, at the same time, say actually, you're not limited on how much fuel you can carry. You still have to carry the unit around, the hybrid electrical unit around, but you're not limited on how much fuel you can carry, or you could have up to one pit stop a race to do it, and actually make them develop the combustion engines in tandem with that as well. Or because they may say, okay, with unlimited fuel, well, we could absolutely rag the nuts off the car and still harvest all the electricity we want with sort of a passive recovery system, but then still use the engine to its fullest effect.
Yeah. Well,
it's all fun though.
We've got. I'm going to be watching 24 hours of testing next week. I think 8 hours over 3 days. I'll probably have it on whilst I'm working.
Well, to end on a small note of positivity, good to see Williams getting a decent run out and some decent numbers under their belt. I know they're on catch up from the previous sessions, but they had a shakedown at Silverstone as well. So I hope they just get numbers under their belt in the next coming week. And
I mean, quite a lot of them have done a lot of laps though. So I think going into the first race, when it's not going to be like in 2022 when you had cars bouncing and all over the place with porpoising and cars breaking down. I think but there's been a lot of testing this time out as well, hasn't there? So I think I reckon we're going to be hitting Australia with cars that are decently reliable already. Because electric motors are more reliable, aren't they? So maybe that's part of it.
More program and software and stuff, but fewer moving parts to go wrong. in the scheme of things. But then they whack it to a great big hybrid producing engine, which that's when you overcomplicate these things. And the other thing, and this will absolutely ruin his chances of having a good season altogether, but I have noticed that Hadjar doesn't appear to be a million miles away from his stablemate in terms of their running volumes and the times that they seem to be achieving. They seem to be closer. Of course, Max is ahead, but they seem closer than they've been. So I've completely jinxed him. I've thrown the hoodoo on him, but no, good luck to him. He seems to be getting to grips with the new car.
Yeah, all that stuff's going to be exciting, isn't it? All the stories, all the narratives around driver rivalries and sporting competitions. That I'm still super excited about that. So there is going to be some good stuff to talk about. I think hopefully we'll have some good races, and we maybe will know more after testing next week.
Next week, yeah.
I think I reckon we should come back this time next week to break that down as well.
And we want to know after the week 1 testing at Bahrain what you think at home. Are we talking out of our hoops?
Yeah, are we alone?
Are we miles off?
Yeah.
What do you think? Have we missed anything? Is there anything that you consider positive, or is there something that's really driving you insane that we haven't spoken about?
Are we being crybaby piss pantsers, and we just need to?
Always. That doesn't sound like the type of thing we'd be. Guilty.
Right, mate, that was fun. I will see you again next time this week. Thanks for watching, everybody, and hope you can join us next time out as well.
I love you. Bye.